Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Serena. I am your go-to guide for all things sensitive. Today we are going to be talking about 5 of my most favorite coping techniques for sensitives. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Welcome to the video. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. Please hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the latest videos that are coming out. I also do meditation, step-by-step guides, all that good stuff. And I'm laughing at my own grandeur. But okay, so if you're returning, thank you so much for returning. Obviously, of course, I always appreciate your support, and thank you for watching. It really truly means a lot to me. And of course, share this video with more people. That way I can reach more people. I would absolutely love that as well. Today we're going to be talking about my 5 favorite coping techniques for sensitives, okay? So this is something I will tell you, I have been through it all in order to discover these techniques, because man, some of them were hard earned, I'm not gonna lie. Like, some of them I really had to go through the SHIT in order to get out on the other side and understand these techniques. So one of my favorite ones, I could grab them. I have them here with me because I take them with me everywhere. Is honestly earplugs. This is one of my favorite things. So I use these ones. Okay, guys, don't hate me on this. So this is the ones I use. They're from a brand called Loop. The reason I like them actually is, so I don't know how well you're going to be able to see these, to be completely honest, because they're small and I don't have an amazing video camera, but these are them. So they just literally go right in your ear like this. And the reason I really like them is because they have different frequencies or different volumes. So you can do ones that are meant to cancel out, let me tell you, it's not all volume, especially if you're highly sensitive. It's not going to cancel out all volume, but more volume or less volume. So they have ones of these that you can wear all the time, which I think is really cool. Now, granted, I've heard some things. The brand, like I said, is called Loop. Granted, I've heard some things about Loop that they are not sensitive towards neurodivergence. So honestly, guys, you're just going to have to do your own research on that. I bought these before I heard that, so I'm not sure, honestly, if it would change my purchasing decision. I haven't gone that far into it yet. So that's your own thing. Obviously, of course, always do your own research on the brands that you're using and what works for you. But these have gone with me everywhere. So actually, in the beginning, when I first moved into my partner's house, so long story short, I sold my house. I moved into my partner's basement, and we were sleeping in the same bed together, of course. And so he was a massive snorer, massive. And it was so triggering to me that I would break down in tears. I would get up so frustrated at night. I would go sleep on the couch. I would sleep on the floor. I would, try repeatedly to wake him up. And it just got to a point where it was I was suffering. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was really suffering. And so earplugs was where we went with that. And so I tried a lot of different brands actually before I got to this Loop earplug, especially because me, I have a really small head and I have really small ears. So it's hard for me to, the regular earplugs, they just pop right out. The disposable ones. And so then I tried these ones that you can literally form to your own ears, and those were good, but they tended to slowly come out during the night. So these are the only ones I have found that work for me, that really stay in. And so, okay, so going past, this is not a product review video, so going past all of that into the real reason that we're talking about earplugs is because of the fact that earplugs are going to subdue sounds, obviously. So this really helped me a lot, especially when we were in Africa, driving across the continent, and we were driving. And so a lot of times it would be hot, so the guys had the windows open the whole time, and so it's that constant And so for me, having the earplugs was like a way that I could like come back and like, you know, slowly kind of, you know, calm my nervous system. And the reason why we're talking about coping techniques today is because that's what it's all about. It's about soothing the nervous system and like calming the body down, because as we all know, as sensitives, the moment we start to get into that heightened state, it's like, zoop, we're out of our body. And that's not, it's honestly, I've lived life like that for like months at a time where I just didn't come back into my body for months. I know people that have lived their entire like adult years not fully in their body. And that's just, one, that's just not a way to live. And two, it's so bad for your body. It's so bad for your body to be in constant fight or flight mode. Raise your hand if you've had adrenal fatigue. Raise your hand high, because I've had it, you know, 2 or 3 different times and it sucks. So anyways, earplugs have been a game changer for me. They've been a game changer even just in meditation. Even now, I still don't have like a home. So I've been traveling from parents' house to siblings' house and just kind of bopping along still. And so, you know, like I'm not used to having animals. My dad, my mom, and my sister all have animals. They have dogs. And so when you're sitting and you're trying to center yourself and meditate and you've got a dog that's like, you know, chewing on a squeaky toy, boop, pop those earplugs right in. So that has been one of the hugest, most amazing coping techniques. Now, I will say, here's a disclaimer, because I will say that it took me some time, because if you're highly sensitive, you understand the body discomfort, especially with, you know, clothing or just physical sensations. So I won't lie to you. It did take me some time to become comfortable with the feeling of having an earplug in my ear and having it at the right pressure and the right, you know, like that did take some time. So I'm not saying that this is an amazing, like, oh my God, it's life-changing. Like it is, but there are things that come with it, like learning to be okay with the way an earplug feels in your ear. So if you are super, super highly sensitive, just be warned that that may take some trial and error for you to figure out ones that work for you, or if that even works for you at all. Like that's totally a personal thing. Number 2, so my second most favorite coping technique is so interesting and simple, and I don't know how many of you guys also do this, but it's honestly, it's this blanket. I take this blanket with me, and so I'll sometimes wrap it around me like this, because the pressure of it, and a lot of you probably sleep with like weighted blankets also. I've found that that's cool, but obviously for me, I don't have a home, and as a traveler, that's not super conducive to carry one with me. That's definitely more of a stability thing. But so my favorite thing that I do with this blanket is actually I put it over my head like this. And so when I have it over my head, I'm not going to talk this whole section with it over my head, but when I have it over my head, a lot of times I'll be laying down, you know, and I'll put it around me. And the feeling of it is almost like you're back in the womb, okay? So for highly sensitive people, being in stimulus all the time, and like, also, this is a really good one for empaths, because our energy is constantly going out and feeling the environment, that like when there's so much coming back in, or so much that you're picking up on, especially people's emotions, it can be really hard for us to create like physical boundaries. So I have found that the best way is literally to create a physical boundary around you and your environment, because what that does is it brings your attention back into your body. Okay? And when your attention is back into your body, you start to remember like, okay, this is what this sensation feels like to me. I feel less overwhelmed. You feel more contained and more held, you know, like exactly like being in a womb. You know, that's the baby's, you know, the fetus's, the baby's safest place is within the womb. It has everything it needs in there. It's being nourished. I've even found that a lot of people will do this with like a darker blanket, and they'll cut themselves off from light as well. So I don't know if you guys have ever been in like a sensory deprivation tank, but it's a lot like that. For me, I like it even more. I've done the floating and stuff like that, but this idea of like just being comfortable And sometimes I need to do this like just once throughout my day. Actually, I have a friend, she doesn't do this exact thing, but she calls it the HSP flop, and she calls it flopping. And so like in her transition periods throughout the day, she will, if she's coming home from an errand and then moving into computer work, she will go and she'll just lay in bed for like 15-20 minutes and just kind of recenter herself. So that's the idea with the blanket, is it's meant to just close you in a little bit and like bring you back to yourself, which is also very soothing to the nervous system. Number 3 is journaling. So this is a take it or leave it one. Honestly, it's not for everybody, and I'll just say that up front. Journaling for me has been life-changing, okay? Especially if you're highly sensitive or empathic and have been in therapy before, or seen a therapist or had a life coach. Journaling can serve as that objective source, right? Because I know for myself, when a situation happens, and this for me is typically with conflict with other people, because I'm highly sensitive and empathic, what ends up usually happening when I'm in conflict with others is I'm feeling my own emotions as well as the emotions of the other person. So then I end up going into a guilt mode of I feel bad that they're feeling bad even though I'm upset at them, right? Tell me that you've not done that before, you've not been in that before, because I know that all of my highly sensitive people know this feeling. And it's horrible, okay? So let's say you're in the conflict ends, right? But you still have all of this like, okay, so here's a really good example. If you've ever seen ducks and you've watched ducks float in a pond, and there's sometimes the one goes after the other and it like, and then they get into a little fight, and then they will swim off and they'll like shake it off and they'll like shake their tail and stuff like that. What they're doing is they're getting rid of the excess energy that was built up from that interaction. And so we're humans, we're the same way. We have motor functions. We function very similarly to that. So especially being highly sensitive, when you get into a conflict, or empathic, when you get into a conflict, your sensitivity is going to like shoot up. And a lot of times also, all of us have trauma from being in these situations before. So not only are you feeling it from the situation at hand, but you're also feeling it from the past trauma and the conflict from before. And so there's all this pent-up energy, and you know, it's hard to see things clearly when you feel things a lot more significantly than other people. It's also a lot harder when you're feeling the emotion of somebody else as well as yourself, to stay in your ground and to stay in your boundaries and your position and to stay in your truth, because it's really easy to say, oh, okay, like they're feeling bad too, so let me just let them have it, okay? Because tell me, I know you've been there before too. So the thing that journaling does, which is really amazing, is it allows you to get that out, you know, is to not keep it inside, because when we keep stuff inside, it becomes a part of us. So it's like that needs to be expressed, it needs to be released. And so for me, journaling has been instrumental in sorting out, okay, what emotions were mine in this situation? What emotions were not mine? How did I feel? What was going on for me? What can I look at? What could I change next time? And really asking those powerful questions in a way that allows it to be released. Because sometimes as highly sensitive people, we get so in our heads as we're analyzing things that the problem just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we just, again, are in overwhelm. And so journaling allows you to just really get it all out in a way that's healthy and doesn't make you repress what you're feeling. Number 4. So this is my 4th favorite coping mechanism. And it's honestly, it's breathing. Super simple, but so undervalued, okay? So just by breathing, it brings us back to our center. Breathing, so for me, I always notice, especially being highly sensitive or empathic, you're going to most likely be prone to anxiety. That's just very natural in the way that our bodies function. So especially, I remember times, oh my gosh, this is so crazy, you guys. Sometimes it's hard for me to even admit to this stuff because I'm like, how was I that sensitive that I allowed that? But you know what? This is the thing. You don't know until you know. So when I was younger, I was really affected by my dad's snoring. okay? So it would really, really, really bother me and really get to me because I was so sensitive. Even though we slept rooms apart, I would still be able to hear it at nighttime and I wouldn't be able to sleep. And so what ended up happening is anytime I was a kid and I would go to a sleepover, I would like take the smallest little breaths. I would barely breathe so that other people, you know, I had this empathic or empathetic spirit that didn't want other people to feel what I was feeling. So I would breathe so very lightly so that other people wouldn't feel the way that I felt or wouldn't hear me or wouldn't be, you know, triggered by my breathing. And actually to this day, I like to sleep with my head opposite of other people for that very reason, which is crazy. So I would rather sleep with my head by somebody's feet than my head by their face because of this whole breathing thing. And so what I've noticed with that is when I take really small breaths, it triggers the body into thinking it's in an anxious loop. And so we all know, or most of us probably know at this point, the science behind big breaths and big breathing is it helps to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. So the idea here is this is going to calm the body down. It's also going to help release any extra energy that's going on. And so with highly sensitive people or empaths, the most important thing that we can constantly be doing for ourselves is soothing the nervous system, calming everything down, and just allowing it to like come back to center. And so through our breathing, it's the most like beneficial way that you can do this. So my favorite way, honestly, is just to fill my entire tummy. So I'll just take a big breath in my nose. And I'm trying to fill my entire like body. And then what I like to do personally is I will breathe out the area that I feel like I'm holding tension. So if I feel like I'm holding tension in my heart, I'll visualize my heart and I'll breathe out through my heart. If I feel like I'm holding tension in my stomach, then I'll breathe out through my stomach. And that's just my own personal thing. But just remembering to take bigger, deeper breaths, or even to sigh, you know, to make some noise, to take up space. Like, why, as highly sensitive people and empaths, are we always afraid that we're like bothering other people? We're always afraid that like our existence is like bothersome to other people, right? And so like just reminding yourself that you can take a big, deep breath in and just like sigh it out and just let it go. And it's so good for the body and the system to do that. Number 5, last but not least, my favorite coping mechanism is exercise. Yes, this is one that a lot of times I never feel like doing, but I feel so much better after I do it. Okay, so this is one that sometimes can take a little bit of discipline to start to implement. You know, a lot of the other ones are like very simple and quick and like you could do this just right now. But for me personally, exercise is like one that I have to kind of like get myself there, and I'm like, you know, this is going to be good for you, so you just gotta, you know, kind of do it. But this can look any number of ways. This can look like going out, like actually right now, like there's a complete forest behind me. So this could look like just going out into the forest and taking a walk. That's exercise. Walking to me is one of the most therapeutic things. Whenever I need to like sort something out, just walking and walking and walking for a long time, like hour or two, I'll just go. And you can listen to your music, you can just enjoy the nature, like it's so beneficial. Same thing with yoga. I do a lot of yoga as well. That wasn't something I was very disciplined with in the beginning, but thanks to Yoga with Adrienne, I love her so much. She has amazing videos. So I will just follow a Yoga with Adrienne video, and she has amazing ones. She has ones for anxiety, stress, calm, you know, like there's so many videos that she has that are supportive for highly sensitive people and empaths as well. Or go play, you know, take your puppy out, go play soccer, like do something fun that you like to do, because that creates your endorphins. It helps you relieve stress. It brings your body back to a state of like calm and like centeredness. Like it's so good for you. and being able to, you know, move, especially when a lot of times we want to hold all this pent-up energy in. Just allowing yourself the space to take up space and to be there, and kind of like we said on our last one, right? Like just saying like, okay, I exist in space. This body exists in space, so it deserves to take up space. It deserves to feel good and to move and to, like, you know, just feel, what does it feel like to stretch? You know, is one side tighter than the other side? Like I have a point right here in my back that feels a little stiff, and so I'm like, ooh, let me like feel that a little bit. But really, exercise is just all about, you know, releasing that extra energy that we carry throughout the day, especially as highly sensitive people. We're taking in so much stimulus, and as empaths, we're taking in so much emotion. Just being able to like clear yourself and get rid of it. All right, guys, so that was my 5 absolute most favorite coping techniques. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. What have you found that's been super helpful for you in learning how to cope with your sensitivity, or learning how to support your sensitivity, right? There's so many things, and I would love to hear like any additional comments on that. But that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed and have a beautiful rest of your day. Big love, Serena.